Hello and welcome to Mecatol Monthly. I'm EA23.
And I am Councillor Reeves.
And today's focus at MM will be on the ANZ TI4 League. We've got a lot of ruthless veterans, some fresh blood looking to prove themselves, and overall carnage is sure to follow.
Indeed it shall. The ANZ Twilight Imperium 4th Edition League will be played across 6 months, with each match to be completed across several sessions every month. Players battle for personal glory and honour for their respective teams. Additionally, the number of points awarded scales not only with how many points you earn in the game, but how many points those on your table don't earn. A wonderful shake-up to scoring that has already incited a few of those spectacular space sieges we all love to see.
You sure said it, Councillor. The first round saw 8 tables between 5 and 7 players queued up, based on their level of experience listed, with Table 1 being full of the veteran elites, and Table 8 being the leftover scraps.
I'd be surprised if the folks on Table 8 could read, let alone...
Today's coverage is brought to you by Dax Robotics.
Production of the Entertainment Android Persona Edition at Dax Robotics has entered beta testing. The EA Persona comes with many bug fixes and 20% more personality than other leading brands. Take the pain out of paying for your on-screen radio or personal basement entertainment. Pre-register your interest today with Dax Robotics. Dax Robotics. Innovation personalized.
Thank you for your support and recent hardware patches, Dax Robotics.
And admittedly, the new ones let off a much more tolerable scent. It's not pleasant. At least you can bear to be in the same room with one as you read the news.
Let's go through each of the tables and give you a brief breakdown on how the games panned out. Table 1 was a 7-player game with some of the league's most recognizable names, including 5 of the 18 captains and a former league champion.
The faction lineup promised a bloodbath. However, the objectives didn't really give the players a chance. 2 structure objectives, 2 spending objectives, and control deep space. But in an extra-large galaxy with enough empty space to go around, there weren't any giant space battles. Props to the few point-blocking extortions in the early game, the light skirmishes here and there, but it wasn't the explosion fans had hoped for. I think the word you would use would be... tension? I'd simply call it boredom.
And tense it was! Moving into the late game, most of the players were lagging behind in resources and willpower, with Titans, Nomad, and Saul having any form of chance to win. Titans took a shot, bombarding a system with only landing 2 out of the 3 hits they needed, failing their secret objective. Saul threatened Nomad's home system, so Nomad struck back, clearing a path towards Saul's home system. The ceasefire was given out, and Saul, knowing that one of these players was going to win, Stella converted the Titans and blew their planet to smithereens. However, he didn't know that the Titans had already blown their opportunity to secret objective, and Nomad actually took the win with their secret planet ownership objective and a 2-pointer.
Congrats to Moon from Team Spite Mech, taking down the veteran table.
You can expect them to be a favorite going into round 2, very likely to be drafted on table 1.
Game 2 was a much more blood-hungry affair than Game 1 out of the gates, with Zardak Nor taking their entire slice, including both equidistance. Jolnar took Mecatol early, with Imperium close behind, and Yin was stalled out of the game thanks to early movement issues. However, the Brotherhood would come back firing, with Yin taking Malice and Hope's End, forming an alliance with Zardak, who pressed on into Jolnar. This distracted the fish scientists enough for the Minpak coalition to sweep in and steal Abyss and Freya, setting up very neatly with some resource-heavy planets.
Even though during the mid-game Imperium were ahead, Yssaril and Yin teamed up to almost completely eliminate them, wiping a lot of their forces from the board, and then the very well-defended, well-armed Yolnar were given an ultimatum in the form of several attacks over a single turn, eventually resulting in the Mentak taking control of their home system. Support for the throne cards were all over the place, but in reparations for the damages, Yssaril and Yin gave both of their supports to Imperium as they focused on the war. However, This would sadly guarantee their demise, with Empyrean player making it out on top, while the still distracted Galaxy worked away at repairing the gruesome, costly damages done. Congrats to St. Cheesius of Spitemic for winning that one.
Well-deserved win, indeed.
Game 3 was a 6-player game, making it a lot more simple to visualize, at least conceptually, and it was a combat-heavy game.
Just the way I like it. The Vulwraith easily set up a streak of gravity rifts directly towards Mecatol Rex, before deciding to take a detour into the Nomad Slice. Barony moved into Khan Slice, and Titans took Sar's home system. Sar was busy hanging out on Mecatol and didn't seem to care. Titans did have an unfortunate debacle, however, with the planet right in front of their home system being declared a demilitarized zone, rendering all potential PDS defenses and Hell Titan activity essentially void. But, leading on 5 points, Titans definitely had a soft drink to chase down that disappointment.
And, like 14.7% of lemurs, Titans were hungry for more. With 5 scored objectives, 3 secret objectives, a support for the throne, and the crown of Amphidia all being cashed in all in quick succession, they managed to leave their competition in the dust and end the game on the 5th turn, perfectly executed.
Congrats to Jordan of Etiord Greens. I never did like that name. What's the point of eating something without a pulse?
Game 4 started off with Clan of Sar meeting a heavy demise, with Ixian Artifact destroying their entire fleet and almost wiping them from the board entirely. Not only that, but there was some vicious fighting between the Nazrock Alliance and Vulwraith Cabal, with the dinosaurs being very keen on eating those cat-riding gnomes, and while records of the game's actual events may have been difficult to find, I can confirm that after all of the rounds, Argent Flight had managed to speed ahead of everybody by ending the game on turn 5, leaving second place still on only 7 points.
Superior Iced Tea of Team Squirrel won that one quite nicely, wouldn't you say?
I would, because it's literally my purpose. Now, unfortunately, we have to skip past Game 5. Due to scheduling conflicts, the game was unable to go beyond its very first session. These sort of things happened with humans. Now, if they were androids, they would have a very different story to tell. Anyway, the table was given an average of points with no declared winner.
Game 6's start was an embarrassing one. No one chose construction, despite the Council's demand for improved infrastructure. Following this blatant disrespect, the Council shifted its priorities to feats of conquer and conquest. The race which controlled planets should hold the seat of the galaxy. The Vulwraith Cabal were all too keen to oblige this request, and moved upon Nazir and Rokar, threatening to wipe the Alliance from the board. A mass gift of trade goods and an exchange of well-wishing support saw an end to the attacks.
The other side of the galaxy was much more peaceful, with planets being bartered for and traded away. Moving into the end game, Embers of Luat were ahead in VP and sitting on Mecatol. However, they had almost no plastic left on the board, aside from their surviving war sun. Our favorite space turtles, the X-Jaw, managed to cause some controversy, being elected as both the Minister of Peace and the Minister of War, confusing most who would question how that's potentially okay. And, with the Alliance on 9 VP and Hakan and Necrovirus on 8, attention was on them to win. However, the X-Jaw managed to capitalize on the lapse of attention on them and won with an Imperial activation mid-turn to score a 2-point objective and their secret, effectively denying Necro the win.
El Presidente and blocking like it's hot, doing very well to earn that one. Though I don't think their obvious corruption should go unnoticed. Minister of Peace? Please.
So how did Table 7 go, Councillor?
I don't care. I'm still pissed about the extra.
Very well, I guess I'll take it from here. In the early game, there was certainly some skirmishes around this 5-player map. Saul struck at the Winoop on Mecatol Rex before they could spend any of their influence from it on leadership, something which Winu had very much decided was an act of war, amassing a fleet to destroy Saul's very well stockaded carriers, who barely escaped with their ships intact and a lot more empty than they had began. Mentak also struck at Saul for a secret objective, however Saul was doing very well for themselves. As the game progressed, players had all support swapped except Mentak, whom nobody wanted to deal with.
Anyway, in the final turn, Barony politically outclassed the rest of the board, scoring a 2-point objective off Imperial to go from 5 to 7 points, and scoring a secret and a 1-pointer to go to 9. During the agenda phase, covert legislation was flipped, and Barony played a politics rider against. The table voted for to deny him the speaker token, falling directly into his trap. The third law had entered play, and the Baron had dictated policy, scoring his last secret and 10th point. I don't know why he didn't simply incinerate everybody in play. However, credit where it's due. Ben Ferno from Crybaby Bobcats definitely earned that victory. His team should be proud, even if it was a little on the boring side.
Speaking of crying cats, we followed another repeating theme yet again on Table 8. Now, Table 8 was the rookie table, and stuff was going to get wild. On turn 1, the Nazraka Alliance had researched War Suns, promptly causing confusion amongst not only their table, but all of the other tables which heard of such a strange feat happening.
Yes, psychoarchaeology combined with both a red and yellow tech skip were equal parts crazy and genius.
However, the Volwraith Cabal, yet again, desired to feast on catmen and dwarves, and in response to Nazraka saying they would want their equidistant planet back at some point in the future, given that it was their slice, Cabal decided that they would take their undefended home system. Furthermore, they immediately blew up the Alliance's second space dock with a relic that they were only able to obtain from the NRA's promissory on the previous turn. In response, NRA took out Cabal's home system, and it seemed like tit for tat was all well and done.
However, NRA had become vindictive and spiteful, and didn't appreciate several back-to-back acts of what they called unprompted aggression. They decided to all-in the majority of Cabal's fleet, still sitting above the equidistant. They managed to take the equidistant back, and set Cabal back off a huge margin. However, war breeds war, and a ball of SAR ships was almost paid a hefty sum of trade goods to simply finish the NRA player off by taking their now undefended space stock. While the table attempted to stop said deal from going ahead under the guise of win-making, SAR did what they had to in order to win, and Cabal did what they had to in order to make the NRA lose.
Going into the final turn, 3 players were all tied at 7 victory points. However, Saul managed to outmaneuver the table by scoring their 2-point objective and an Imperial point, and they were able to leave the table in dust, ending the game very quickly into the 6th turn, claiming the win. Zeph NM from Team Block It Like It's Hot showcasing amazing skill in those final moments. Well played.
And we should just point out very quickly here, despite researching War Suns on the very first turn, NRA not only never got to build their War Sun, but they also ended on a pitiful 2 victory points, limping past the finish line on the cusp of being eliminated from the table.
I sure wouldn't want to be that guy's friends and family. Oh, the shame they must feel. Anyway, let's take a look at the team's scoring. Block It Like It's Hot is currently holding on to gold, with Spitenik just behind. Both teams holding on to 2 wins so far. Squirrel in 3rd and Eat Your Greens on 4th.
Crybaby Bobcats are in 5th with a single win. Team Draconis in 6th. Number 2 in 7th. And the Brotherhood in last place.
And going into round 2 this month, things are going to be shaken up a bit.
That's right. In celebration of Codex 3 and the SCPT prelims, which are currently underway, the next upcoming round will not be the traditional multi-draft, but one using a very convoluted bidding system, which has caused many players to squirm already. Additionally, all the factions with major redesigns in the new Codex, including the newest faction to enter play, the Council of Caleris, will be in the faction pool. Best of luck, everybody.
That's about all the time my battery life will allow for, sadly, so thank you all for joining us on Mecatol Monthly. My name's EA23.
And I'm Councillor Reeves.
And we'll be seeing you on the next one. As long as the show isn't cancelled. Speaking of which, why not show your support for the show by hitting that subscribe button? Or if you want to join in on the Cool Guy Hideout Discord where the APAC League is taking place, the time zones are all in Australia and Oceania. However, international players with flexible schedules who are able to commit to ongoing games are welcomed with open arms. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.